I'm going to talk about Zakat on livestocks. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. So Zakat on livestocks refers to camels, cows, cattle and sheep, which includes goats. Allah says, lawful for you are all livestock. That is because they don't speak, being lack of clarity and ambiguity, so that is not clear. So animals don't talk in a language we understand. So this livestock falls into different categories. One of them is trading goods, so that is dealt with as trading goods. The second category is grazing flocks, and this refers to the zakatable livestock. Grazing, because this is one of the conditions for it to be zakatable, that it grazes itself by going on its own and eating grass and plants that are planted in the open. So I don't feed it myself, I don't buy hay or whatever to feed it, rather it feeds from whatever is found from grazing. The third category is livestock, and that is kept by the owner for their milk, wool and meat, and for any other purpose, and this is the type of livestock I personally feed. So I bring for them myself whatever they feed on, and I pay them by cutting the grass and the likes, and you feed it on a regular basis. This has no zakat on it, even if I have a large amount. So the fourth category are animals that are hired out. So I have a number of camels, but I hire them to carry other people's properties or to take them from place A to B. There's no zakatable on the livestock, but what I get in exchange, I hiring the animal, and if it reaches the threshold, being a full lunar year passes while it's in my possession. So what are the conditions of zakat of livestock? The livestock should reach the threshold. The threshold of camels is minimum 5, for cows it's 30, for sheep its minimum is 40, and there are a number of hadiths covering this, where for example the Prophet ﷺ said there's no zakat due on fewer than 5 camels. So if you have 4 camels, and even if they are grazing, there's no zakat on it. Also the hadith of Muad, when the Prophet ordered him to take, may Allah be pleased with him, to take from every 30 cows a 1-year-old cow, and for every 40 cows you take a 2-year-old cow from that. Also the Prophet said ﷺ in another hadith, if the grazing flocks of a man consists of less than 40 sheep, there's no zakat due on it. So this is a condition. The second condition is that a full lunar year passes from the day you possessed it with a threshold without it being reduced. So if I started the Hijri year, Hijri year 1st of Muharram having 5 camels, 6 months down the line one of them died or sold them, then was it interrupted the moment it reaches 5 or more again? The new year starts all over again. The hadith also of the Prophet ﷺ, no zakat is due on worth until 1 year has passed since it was acquired. The third condition is that it's a grazing animal. So obviously an animal that is grazing is one that is grazing on what is available for anyone. They graze in an open field that does not need cultivating, does not need to be cut for them throughout the entire year or most of the year. And the Prophet ﷺ said this in an authentic hadith with regard to zakat on sheep that graze. If there are 40 up to 121 sheep would be given. A similar thing that was said in camels in different perspectives. If it is fed by the owner for the majority of the year, there is no zakat, because the owner most of the year is feeding it 9 months and grazing only 3 months due to the cost it costs him to feed. The fourth condition is that such livestock would not be working animals, and that is referring to hired out animals like camels and the likes. This is no zakat. The threshold is 5 for camels, 30 for cows and 40 for the sheep. There might be a slight confusion in calculating because we're not used to it, and it's related to fixed numbers that we may not find the logic, but that what is mentioned in the Sunnah, and we must abide by it. For example, what is the rate on zakat on camels? If you have camels that is grazing, reaching the threshold, possessing it for 1 lunar year, that is how zakat is calculated. So the minimum is 5. So let's assume you have 5 camels up to 24. So if I have 5, 6, 23 or 24, the zakat is the same, and that is 1 sheep for the whole amount. Whether I have 5 or 24 camels, the 1 year passes, I give 1 sheep as zakat. If the amount of zakat of the livestock goes to 25 camels, so from 25 till 25, in this case we have to give 1-year-old she camel, and the zakat is always given out as females. So a she camel that is 1 year old is due if an amount of 25 up to 35. So any amount between those two, you give 1 she camel. If you can't find a she camel, that's the only category that you can give a male camel. It has to be a 2-year-old male camel to be given as zakat. The norm is to give a 1-year-old she camel. If you're unable to find it, then you give a 2-year-old male camel. If I have 36 up to 45, whatever is in between, the zakat is a 2-year-old she camel, not 1-year-old. If you cannot find it, then you have to find it and give it. There's no other alternative. If I have 46 to 60, it's 3-year-old she camel. From 61 to 75 in between, I have to give a 4-year-old she camel. If I have 76 to 90, now you have to give 2 camels of the age of 2 years old, and it has to be a she camel. So if you have 90 camels that you possess a full lunar year passes while they're grazing, you have to give 2 she camels of the age of 2 years old. If you have 91 to 120, then you have to give 2 3-year old she camels. After 120, then it becomes systematic. So if they are after 120, every 40 you give a 1-year-old for every 40 years. And a 2-year-old she camel must be given, and it's for every 50 camels a 3-year-old camel should be given. The timetable is allocated from 5 to 120. If I reach 120, the numbers become fixed. So after 120 for each, after 120 for every 40 camels extra over these 120, we give a she camel of 2 years old, and if it is 50 camels over the 120, we give 1 she camel of a 3-year-old age. I'll leave you here. في أمان الله وصلى الله وبارك على نبينا محمد. أستغفر الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.